have Mark Ellis, a world-renowned, I'm going to say, photographer. You're going to be in for a treat in terms of seeing some of his photographs. I know he has been a student of Loon's. He's also been an instrumental and kind of co-leader of our Loon project at Chik-Wauk, and has put in a lot of time over the last year, I know, on things. And so let's give a warm welcome to Mark Ellis.
Thank you, Mark. Very nice welcome. World-renowned is maybe a little strong, but I put it this way, I try. So, thank you for the invitation, and thank you to everybody here and online and who may view the recording. I'm always thrilled to talk about loons, and I apologize if you get loon overload from my photos. I'll go fast, but it was hard to cut out what I had. So basically this is about stories. I'm not going to go in wild detail on technical features of setting your camera. There's a page for that. Take a picture if you want. I'll review this later and you'll see it all in there. So, one theme is this was the first time I went out that year. Within minutes I got that photo, and I don't know if the Loons put on a show for me or what, but a lot of my best photos that I get are one of the first couple every time I go out, first time of the year. So there's two stories here. I'm going to talk about Loons in general, but also I think this program forming the way it is an amazing story, so I'll cover it that way. The mission is to monitor the Loons on the Gunflint Trail for good, well, somewhat disappointing and very sad actually. Research shows that loons are declining across America.
Mark,
and the goal here is to try to help them.
Mark, can we move in a little bit?
Okay, so that gets me in the, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So we're going to try to help the loons here. And this is a unique place because it's so remote. It's not like the Brainerd Lakes area where there's tons of jet skis and boats. But there's still threats here, so that's the purpose. We're working with a researcher, Dr. Walter Piper. The stuff that we're able to teach him will tell him about our area. And he's thrilled about that. So we're basically monitoring just to see the status of the loons here. What we learn hopefully can help the loons, and we're already working on that. I'll talk about some of that as I get further in. We're going to share it to the leading researcher on loons that's based in Minnesota and Wisconsin. He's out of California. So we'll compare our lakes here, which are quite unique, very remote, clean water, but find ways that we can help the loons is probably the key part here. So here's the team. It started last year. I'll tell that story. Talk about volunteers. You'll see. It's amazing. In about a week, we had about almost half as much as what we got now. It was amazing. Mona and I have coordinated the monitoring. I think it's coming clear. I think Bill described this. Bill Sherman, I think, wrote a report about loons a while back, basically that they are declining. Maybe forming a team here would be useful. Bill listened. We have a team. He's the guy about a year and a half ago that reached out to me. I'm somewhat newly retired, and I stopped saying no to things. And it's a secret. I don't generally say no to anything about loons. So, but then, key to this is Bonnie. She keeps us in line, make sure what we put out doesn't have typos, which would be terrible, but puts up with our wild idea generations, which are not a bad thing. We have some help from TOLA related to get the lead out, and then also their water clarity data is key to tracking loons. We've got a couple new members which escalated this to levels you're about to see. We have a new website. I think today's the official launch date. It's the best loon website I've ever seen, honestly. So Liz pulled that together. The photos were by me. I try to tell stories, and I think they work. Melanda joined later through contacts with Mona. Melanda is our graphic designer, but does so much more. Everybody on this team does so much more than their expertise. Again, back to Mona, she's a huge driving force. It's literally amazing the contacts that she pulls in. We're connected with across America organizations that are key researchers, and we meet with them. She coordinates, this Saturday we're having loon rescue training. She initiated that. It doesn't quit. It happens even today. So I think this stopped. Can you stop it for me?
Is it not going forward?
Went to sleep, it seems. I think we're froze. We'll get it here.
There we go.
Okay, good. So a good thing we tested. So where I wanted to begin is in the spring, the first day or night I hear loon sounds, the world gets good again. That's partly, I think, why people love them. The sound was not coming through the computer, but I'll try to play them off of my phone from our website. So the first one is a whale. That's the most common one you'll hear. That's them communicating with each other on the lake. If the one parent's on the nest and needs a break, it'll do that. Eventually, it'll show up from the distance. So I'll try to play that here. Where's the microphone? I'll just try it here. The second you hear that in the spring, life is good again. The next is the yodel. I didn't know this till recently. I've been out photographing loons 15 years, but only the male does the yodel. And when you look on the lake and you see the loons, I think a researcher can't tell unless they have them in hand, because you look the same. But if you see a loon doing this, that's the male. That's generally a warning. If you're out in a canoe and you happen to not notice and you end up nearing a loon and it starts that, they don't want you that close. That's generally a warning. Hoot is one of my favorites. That's how they communicate with their babies. Tremolo is, they both do it. It's kind of a distress call, but when they fly over, they're doing that. And I don't know what their distress is that. That might just be let people know, other loons know they're in the area. So, I started there because that's when life gets good in the spring. I'm having sound trouble. The babies make squeaks, and I think that is nature doing its thing, that when the parents hear that, they know to feed them, they know, it turns on the parent instinct is what my guess is. So I can show those here later. I have that available. It's not playing that well when I do the program. So really quick history. I got a camera when I was 12. Parents were really generous. That's me, one of my earliest photos of me in a mirror. I was just experimenting. But all the rest were made at ages 12 and 13. And
wow.
I'm proud of those, still today. Fast forward a whole bunch of stuff. I'm a chemical engineer by training. Went to a lot of school, took a job at 3M, retired after 33 years. worked super hard, but what kept my life in balance was photography. So this is stuff mostly made in later years, but I think having done it so long, having inspirations that I follow, I do this kind of stuff. So if you go to the Bell Museum at the University of Minnesota and go to their moose diorama, there's a kiosk, and under Ask the Expert, that video, that was taken right at Seagull Lake Road and Gunflint Trail. This was along the Gunflint Trail. But I'm the worst business person in the world when it comes to photography and promotion, but some big places have found it. So this was a BBC TV show that found some of my night sky. This is my camera that made that time lapse, also took the picture of my TV. Amazing. I've contributed to a documentary about wolves, and you'll see more. I do an annual loon calendar with the National Loon Center, which is a partner of this loon program. That's kind of what I look like. What my wife made. That's the boat I have used for years. That probably is a 4th of July weekend. 2 chicks, parents, and I let them come to me basically. The camera gear is shown there. I have a really nice lens that cost a fortune, but you'll see the results of that lens. Not to dwell on this. Maybe the main place here is I'll just talk about some ethics. If you're going to do loon photography, first just hang around them, but don't go too close. They say to keep 200 feet away. The next picture is a clue they come closer than that. But if you, around here in the boundary waters, they're not used to people, you generally can't get real close unless they're very curious and pop up right next to your canoe. The things that you do not want to, don't feed loons. Very important, especially on lakes with a lot of boats. That'll attract them to boats. Impact can happen. Or they could try to go for a lure, which is very bad as well. Even when I'm out with the loons that know me on a family cabin near central Minnesota, once I'm out more than 15 minutes or so, I feel like I should just get out of there and leave them do their thing. I think if you're around them, it takes some of their energy, and they should be focusing on the babies. What I try to do is, you're seeing, use my photography to help protect loons. Now that loon came up right next to my boat, so it's proof they come close, almost too close to even focus. That's the full frame. Here's a bunch of technical stuff. That's me with my big lens in the boat. And there actually is a loon in the back. Little baby loon right there. Go back and look at this later. I should probably do a workshop here or something where we focus on this. Uh-oh, this thing stopped again. It froze.
Frozen. Okay, yeah. Not sure what the problem is.
There we go. If you go to the website, it has a lot on there. One of the things that talks about a year in loon life while they're here during the breeding season. Let's right behind this one.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, so it shows a whole year. So I organized my talk under those headings. So this is what you'll see in May to June. Again, this was, the loons had just returned, but they basically show up the day ice is out. So they stay south where the water's open, they'll fly over, if it's ice, they'll go away. They might check it more than once a day, but as soon as it's out, particularly the territorial loons that live on that lake, they got to get there instantly because otherwise they might lose the lake. It's a good lake. It's a big commodity for loons. Things like clarity of water helps them see. The minnows for them to catch for their babies. Enough minnows, big enough that they can run and take off. They need, the smallest lake I know of that I've seen is 40 acres. It's had a loon pair with chicks. This was another year. They just landed again. This was on a lake about a mile from here. That was the day ice went off that morning. The lake was packed and they were all just zooming around. I think they're trying to show their strength. They're kind of maybe trying to get the eye of the female, but it was like they were putting on a show like crazy. Wouldn't quit. Same day, they were calling. It was amazing. This is, we're still on incubation, so this is the central Minnesota lake, I believe. Nice early morning with some fog. Again, 2 eggs there. I was standing in my boat. I shouldn't have done that. My lens is expensive, but I got this photo. I like this one. So there is a baby, but they're still on the nest. So this is like right when they're hatching. That is the second baby. I was out there the next day when it came off the nest. Literally, they can swim as soon as they get off the nest. It's amazing. So moving through the year, we're still in the first phase here right now. But my favorite time is the first week. It's spectacular when there's 2 on the back, feel their parents feeding. This loon, there's more to this story, but that was its first day on the water. And one of its first minnows ever. I don't name the loons. I don't want to get too attached. And this is a warning to the monitors, of which we have 44 now. You might see some rough things, and I've seen them. You'll see some of it along the way. So I don't name them, but this one I named Lucky, the only one, and you'll see why. Again, feeding the baby, climbing aboard. The reason they do that, I think number 1 is it's for safety. A big fish could grab one of those babies. Snapping turtle. If an eagle happens to come by and it's lucky, it can just pick it off. But they do it also to regulate their temperature and rest. Here's one that came super close. This generally happens when an intruder lands on the lake and the parents take off to shoo that away. So here it was right near my boat. Otherwise, I'd never get that picture.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
This one actually got shared tons on my Facebook page.
that's fantastic.
My son-in-law said, a meteorologist on TV shared your picture. It's like, and my answer was, that's my father-in-law. Yep. This probably was babysitting time again. Intruder loon, the parents went to shoo it off the lake. Meal delivered. Sunset was right behind them. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of work in positioning my boat to have that line up like that. This is not by chance normally. That one is getting to be maybe into 2 weeks old, so just almost too big for back riding. Those are getting pretty big too. Oh yeah. Some of this is like after the day after they're born, the whole family's exhausted. They're not born, but go in the water. I got a lot of pictures. That one is at the borderline. I think the next day it wouldn't go. The parent probably wouldn't allow it on the back. That one's pretty plump. Okay, so they start getting more independent, and as soon as actually the day after they're on the water, they start flapping their wings, and this is to build strength and control of their wings. So, I think the parent fed it that, it didn't catch that, but it ate it, and I couldn't believe it. Yep, that's probably into 3 weeks old. This might have been, they came close, or I was babysitting again. He ate that, or she. That was delivering. Maybe that same fish, I'm not sure. This was babysitting time again. One thing I try to do, I'm a photographer. I work hard to get the sun behind me so they get lit up nice. And that's partly, I position that way without thinking about it. I think this was on my birthday that year. Nice gift, out at sunrise. One baby, I think there were two, so another one was probably swimming behind. This was a dangerous photo because I borrowed from Canon on loan for free a lens that was super good. They know you're going to want it after you try it. Mm-hmm. That's the big lens I have, which I bought. They keep growing, more wing flapping all the time. This is, I don't know the exact, but they start losing their downy fur, it's not fur, feathers, and they start getting smoother, more adult-like feathers which they can fly with. That one's got this is progressing in the year. You can tell it's autumn. This is when it gets sad because I've been with them now for 2 months. You know they're going to take off. Let's see. So here's more wing flapping. These ones are really close to departing. And possibly by this time, the parents, actually even if there's no chicks, they don't leave the lake together. They only reunite back in the spring. I never imagined that. Well, so by this point, I think one parent was gone. Another one stays until they're strong enough to survive best. But a lot of wing flapping. This one was within days of departing. It's got good, smooth feathers, it's strong. It knew who I was. I think it came by curious, and the lighting was good, and I got that photo. This was a practice run. It didn't take off, but they get closer and closer to takeoff as fall progresses. I think still this one had a parent around. Lots of this, but you can see the fall colors. And then, this was another year, the parent was on the lake so much that tannins stained its white feathers. It was the first parent was gone. This one probably left within a day or so. They start losing some of their breeding colors at the end of the year. It's not sick, it's in good shape, but that baby is basically could live on its own at that point. So here's the story. Well, actually, this just shows a departure. I'll get to the story later. But that's a lucky loon. I'll tell you why. So this was the day it left. I went on a Saturday out at sunrise, and both parents were gone. I found the loon. It was sleeping actually. I was out early. It kind of stirred, made some calls, probably looking for the parent. It came right up to me and looked at me, went back and did some wing flaps. ran. I thought it was a practice run. Nope, it was gone. That was its flight. Now, just Loon Beauty, because why not? I'll just step through them. These are, a lot of this is from calendars that I made, and they're not baby related directly. This one was calling to its baby. This is what they look like when they do the whale. Their mouth's not open. I think it's more of a nasal sound. They might open it just a bit. But guess who was calling back? The baby. In the fall, they do a lot of preening and they lose feathers. And when you're out there in the morning and it's calm, they're around, so I got a picture of one. These are covers of the Loon calendars. I usually pick one of my favorites for the front, so Loon Beauty.
Wow.
That one was the first day I went out that year. I saw, the loons woke me up. I heard them calling and I went out and there were 3. This was an intruder and the resident pair shoot them on. And I had my camera set for this photo, but I'm rusty after a winter of not doing this. I got it. It's kind of tricky when they're backlit, but that way you get nice light through the wings. That was a tough year. This plays into loon threats. I got a text from a person on the lake that's near Brainerd, and I zoomed there that day. Got some really great photos. The next day a hailstorm hit, that baby was gone.
Oh.
This was last year's calendar, and I was a loon monitor. I was out with loons a lot, so I got more photos. And this year there was enough babies that was around. The whole calendar was babies about 2 weeks old or younger. So that's that. Now the tougher portion. Loons are their own threats, and it's bad. That's why it's territorial. If parents are on a lake and they have chicks, and an aggressive intruder comes in, and if it can, it'll kill the baby. That somehow helps them take that lake next year. It happens. I've never seen it. Eagles are a definite threat. If they think they can take an adult, they'll try. But I wouldn't advise it because their beaks can kill an eagle. And that's been documented in the literature. One spear to the heart, and the eagle's done. I think eagles know that. Predators and chicks are easier to grab. And when they chase off intruders, they generally leave the chicks in the weeds on the shore. If an eagle spots them, it's gone. That's the way it works. Large fish, snapping turtles, I guess raccoons are a threat. Black flies. If they're on the nest when the flies are prevalent and it's really bad, it'll force them to leave the nest. Too long and the eggs don't survive, or a predator can get the babies or the egg. And then extreme weather of all kinds. The kinds of things I've seen is a huge storm hit, the lake comes up and the eggs get flooded. It's done. Let's see, other storms that can get them is if they're flying back in the spring and a huge condition where ice forms on their wings, they can crash. And that's usually, they're done normally then. Someone might be able to rescue it, but if they're out in the middle of the field, they're out of luck. In the case of Lucky, a huge storm hit. That loon had already hatched, the sibling was hatching. It got flooded. That was sad. This one I couldn't get to play for some reason, but here I was doing loon babysitting. I was out photographing and an intruder landed. I showed this before. You saw my talk from August. I was looking at the babies. An intruder popped up out of the water, sort of behind me, and the parents went wild. They started penguin dancing, went over to it, and it decided to fly to the other side of the lake. They went with it, and I had to babysit these little guys for like 25 minutes. They were right at my boat. I waited, the parents came back. They know my boat, actually. On weekend, 4th of July weekend, it's terrible. And if I'm out, they'll come to my boat so that the other boats stay away. This is the video of when it happened. I don't know if it's going to play. So they were right near me. The parents went wild, were dancing, screeching. There were yodels. The thing flew away, and they went with it and left the babies like that with me. Other threats. They do fight. Territorial fights happen. I had heard of it, but I happened to be in the cabin. That morning I went out at sunrise before the loons woke up. And I'm not a morning person, but loons were quite a draw for me, so I get out there. I thought I saw one of them sleeping in the lily pads on the corner of the lake where they often sleep, but there was only one. And it came out, swam around. Next thing you know, two happened to cross the other side of the bay. And then a bunch of dancing and posturing, and I got some nice sunrise photos. Later that day, about 1 p.m., I heard a ruckus right in front of the cabin. And I went out, and they were fighting. Turns out if two females fight, they usually back down. If two males are really aggressive, and neither backs down, it'll go until one is deceased. Unfortunately, this was the case. They're really strong. This is why I mentioned to Bill in an email yesterday, I wouldn't swim out to a loon. These things are really strong. The things they do is they grab each other by the beak and they just slap each other silly. If they can reposition, they'll push it under the opponent and stand on it to try to make it drown. It's pretty brutal. What finally got it, it was the resident male. He lost his eye. He was trying to get away and the other one chased it and poked it. So I went in that night and it's like, my peaceful loons. I didn't know they did this, but they do. So we went, now if you want to pick the plus side, I went several years with no successful nest. Whatever male came in the next year started having chicks. And it's the male that picks the nest location. And if they're more experienced with chicks, it goes a long way. So chicks started happening. This is the same, a few days later, this is the female that survived. Every morning it went by the cabin like it did with its mate, but it was alone. One morning I went out, the female's there, and like 5 or 6 other males were dancing and going crazy around her. She had enough and swam away, and I followed her, and she was positioned great in the light, and I was ready to take the picture, but the water started churning, and I thought, fish? Nope, it was this. It shot up. She got super startled. And luckily, I already had my finger on the shutter.
Wow.
And that's sort of what the penguin dance looks like. It takes a lot of energy for them to do that. So more natural threats. This is black flies. They can get horrendous. And I think that year the nest failed. Oh, this is the story of Lucky. So I was out, and I knew there were 2 eggs, and I was getting these photos, but they kept going back to where the nest was. And I knew the water had come up. It did. That's where the egg was, under the water, and the head was out. It was really close to making it. But there's always a plus side. Lucky had 2 parents to help him all year, and he made it, or she. And that's the scene again. Human threats. We can't really control the nature side. Some of nature's side, with weather being extreme, could be climate change, or more likely it is. But things that we can control, if a whole lake is developed and they don't have any place to put a good nest, they won't have a nest. We can help with platforms as long as they're put in safely and durable. A big problem, what I've read, and Bill has seen this too, I think 25% of the loons that they test, necropsies, they went due to lead. If they eat a sinker, and that's how they eat, they pick stuff up the bottom, they pick rocks up to digest their food. If they get a sinker in 2 to 3 weeks, they won't survive, maybe sooner, and it's really rough on them. So, with the Loon program, we're giving out swaps of non-lead tackle, and I think eventually we may have to get into lobbying to make it illegal here. And Bill will do it. That guy does everything. So. On Leo Lake and Hungry Jack, there were loons that got entangled. Mona went into action, reached out to loon rescue people, and that's why we're having loon training, rescue training Saturday. With that comes responsibility, though. If we get a call, someone's going to have to respond, know what to do. Boat impacts, the National Loon Center is that near Cross Lake. Most of the deaths are boat impacts there. If you have a gigantic wakeboarding boat and it washes water over the nest, that's enough to take care of the nest. If you go too close, even by accident, the loons might leave the nest. Or if they leave it long enough, a predator gets the chicks or the eggs. That's a problem. Dr. Piper has monitored in Wisconsin. Lake clarity is going down. Makes it harder to catch their prey, the minnows, and that's a cause for decline. Some of the later stuff I've read, if they have harder time feeding the babies due to clarity, and the babies are too small, but they do survive and fly south, they generally stay 2 to 3 years. They look more brownish, but when they come back, they look in their breeding colors. If they're too small during the year, most of those don't come back. So, another threat. So there's a lot we can do, and that's why this Loon program is active. I think, again, maybe when I talk too long. Okay. This was the 4th of July. I went out. It was right after one of the babies came off the nest. I felt like I was with them long enough, and every time I started heading back, another gigantic boat came by. I couldn't leave. And as long as I stayed here, they stayed near me in the boat. The boat didn't even see the babies, I'm sure. And both of those chicks made it. Let's see. Okay, this was the first year after we had the fatal fight that chicks happened. I was thrilled. These are like 1 to 2 day old. I was out and it was right along the shore near our place. And it was starting to rain really lightly. And so I thought, I've been with them enough. I better give them a break. I went inside. Next thing you know, I could hear all sorts of calling like crazy. I got my binoculars. There was something floating near the parent. Boat impact. Yep. It sat here for like 2 hours with the baby when it coasted to the weeds. Not pretty. So this resulted on that lake. And it works. The other thing that has worked is up to that point when I would take my photos, I'd post them on my Facebook page. If I missed a weekend, people would start reaching out, what's going on with the babies? Now they watch for them. It works. So back to the program. Loon program. I kind of covered most of this already. The thing it's amazing is that we're tied in with the top loon researchers in America. Meetings are monthly. And then another thing is that we've explored and we've picked out proper platform designs. I think we need a coordinator of platforms if anybody's interested in doing Bill's job here. They go a long way. Like, think about the Chik-Wauk platform. Chicks. Uh-oh, that's not my photo. I gotta fix that. Here's the history. A couple weeks after Bill called me and I got connected with Mona, Phyllis wrote a really nice letter to request monitors. We put a bunch of my photos with babies on it. 1 to 2 weeks later we had training, and by that time we already had 12 lakes monitored and 20 loon rangers. And talk about volunteers. So I think I've covered most of this. Loon rescue training this Saturday. We're up to 43 volunteers on 29 lakes. Some of them are not even on the Gunflint, as far away as Caribou Lake. If you want to be a monitor online, or if you're viewing the video recorded, we're open to more help. Here's a spectacular map made by Liz or Melanda. That's where we're monitoring. I can't believe it, literally. Melanda made, last year it was kind of not as organized in a way. We had a spreadsheet that people could fill out and send it in, or they could just drop in a one-liner. I saw this today. When I was analyzing that, we have a lot of emails with the group. It took me a lot of digging to pull those monitoring reports out and decipher them. But through all of it, we counted 19 fledged chicks on the lakes we were monitoring. So that's, it was kind of in line. Generally, about half of the eggs that are laid will survive. That's just normal. We were about at that level, maybe. Out at the end, we were much higher than that. About 0.8% or 80% made it out here. For whatever reasons, mid-trail wasn't as good. And so here's the form. With this, I'm done.
Excellent. Any quick question for Mark?
Sure.
I'm a seagull down here,
Yeah, that's right. I'm too, actually.
and I'm not seeing loons here hardly at all.
They're around.
And could it be with the high water we had?
I think it's luck of the draw. I have a neighbor that he gives me info. He's seen bunches up to 6 or more around. Literally traveling all the whole motorized area to see what's out there.
Okay.
They are around. I know when I was here last, they were calling like crazy at nighttime. So they're around. Could be they're on a nest now. So
Okay.
that might be a good sign. If you
And
see
those are elusive.
Yeah, so what we tell the monitors, you might never find the nest, but eventually you'll see parents with babies, and that's where monitoring somewhat frequently helps.
Do babies, when they grow up, do they come back to the legs they were born on?
Yep, it's an amazing story. They generally come back close, but if they come back to the lake where the parents are, the parents will boot them off.
Oh.
They're territorial.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Just like
They-
a mouse.
yeah. I don't know who knows if they recognize them 3 years later, but how could they not, I would think. The way they might be able to stay is loons. This lake there is 240 acres. There's never more than one pair. It's probably not, they just don't allow it because they can see it's there. Probably on Seagull, you might have 10 pairs, it's so big. So if it's a big lake, they might be at the other end of the lake.
You said that the survival of an egg is like 50%. Does that mean by only 50% hatch, or only 50% of those
I'm
chicks
kinda
actually
weighing it.
fly out?
What I understand is if they hatch, they'll probably lose one.
So it's after they hatch.
Yeah.
And the success is for them to fly out of that lake.
That's kind of your best case, but I've seen often they both make it. But what that means is the parents are pretty experienced at watching those loons, and they didn't have bad luck too.
I think it was last year, maybe last fall, the lake had iced up, and then I heard a loon calling. And I remember I called the DNR, but they're like, if it didn't make it out, there might be a reason it didn't make it out.
Yeah,
So
they could be
they
sick.
didn't. Yeah, they didn't.
Could be
They
lead
didn't
poisoning.
encourage any interference with them. Yeah.
They shouldn't be there that late.
Yeah.
DNR always says let nature take its course, even with moose.
Yeah.
But we're getting training to help nature a little bit, I think, to help rescue if it makes sense.
What's the incubation time for the eggs?
28 days plus or minus a day or so.
Mark, did you get that Chik-Wauk platform out like right when the ice?
Right away,
Yeah,
within
we
a
should
day.
do that.
Yep, and they were on it within a day and mated within 2 days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It looks like the egg, one of the eggs may not have been viable. I was up there.
You're right.
With
Yep,
it talking
we
to-
lost
Oh, you
one
talked
of the
about that,
2
sorry.
eggs. We believe that it probably wasn't viable and the mom just brought it off the nest and put it in the water.
Oh.
I had 1 year it was crazy hot on that lake, and they sat on it 3 weeks and neither hatched, but they had to keep going off to cool off themselves. So
Wow.
even that's a problem. Too hot.
It's been a hot spring here, even.
Yeah.
It's been an issue.
That's why they need some help, and that's what we're trying to do. And nature's bad enough. Boat impacts. Are you crazy? People have to watch out. And I don't think people want to hurt loons, so if you let them know what to watch for, that's going to help the loons.